With the way Jerry Jeudy has played over the last couple of weeks, the Browns might have pulled off highway robbery. I'm going to explain it all on today's episode because Jeudy has been a bright spot for a team that hasn't really given us a whole lot to cheer about outside of the win over the Steelers. So why not keep the good times rolling into this week as well? Now, before we unpack today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I want to reach 39,000 subscribers before I sit down at the Thanksgiving dinner table. The big reason is I'll be with my family, who majority do not understand what I do, and explaining it only makes it worse. But if I can tell them, hey, I've got a channel with 39,000 subscribers, it's going to sound a little bit better than 38,895. So selfishly, I ask, if you have not subscribed yet, consider going ahead and doing so. Now, let's talk about Jeudy, who, if you just look at his numbers over the entire season, don't scream highway robbery, 645 yards, 2 touchdowns, but over the last couple of weeks, 379 yards, an average of nearly 16 yards a reception, and that includes a bye week as well. Now, looking back at the trade, obviously in the moment it felt like the Browns might have won the trade. Former first-round pick who I don't think was a bust by any stretch, but maybe just didn't live up to first-round expectations in Denver. 5th in a 6th-round draft pick. It was a good deal, I thought, for both sides, and I still think to this day both sides won this trade. The Browns got a good receiver for relatively cheap, and the Broncos got his entire fully guaranteed 5th-year option off of their books, and they got 2 somewhat valuable day 3 draft picks. Surely they probably would have wanted a little bit more, but I think both sides got some fair compensation in that deal. But that's not the highway robbery I'm talking about. It's not the trade itself. It's what I did not expect to be talking about, and that is the contract extension. I mean, hand up, I was critical of this when it first came down the pipe. Now, as the days went by, we got more details on the extension, and it started to make a little bit more sense, but it did not erase the fact that this was a huge gamble by Andrew Berry, giving a 3-year, $52 million extension to a player who had not played a snap for you yet. You were definitely making a big move and a big risk. And looking back at it, this is definitely going to be one of Andrew Berry's best moves, in my opinion. Because right now, Jerry Jeudy is the 27th highest paid receiver in football based on his average salary. Fast forward to 2025, he's going to be the 23rd highest paid receiver off average salary. He's better than Christian Kirk. He's better than Brandon Cooks. He's better than a lot of guys who are higher up than him on the payroll. But this was the gamble that Berry made, and I'm going to say it's going to be an all-time great move by him because Jeudy at the moment is on pace for 70 grabs, 997 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And this is on the conservative side, right? This is with a lot of data points with Jameis Winston not as a starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson as a starting quarterback, whereas Jameis over the last couple of games as the starter has seen Jeudy flourish. I think he's going to exceed all 3 of these data points if he stays healthy. Have his first 1,000-yard season, 5 or 6 touchdowns, 75 to 80 grabs on the year. So when you compare Jeudy's extension to other guys in his same age group who got extended around the same time, I mean, look at the bargain. DJ Moore has been up and down this year, and that's putting it lightly. Nico Collins is very good when healthy, but the best ability is availability, and that's been an issue for him so far in his career. Michael Pittman's been above solid, above average, but I think we'd all agree that look at the average salary across the board, 27, 24, 23. Then a huge dip down to 17 and a half, and he's also the youngest of the bunch when he signed his extension. And that right there is what I call a really, really good deal by the Browns and something that I think qualifies as highway robbery. So how would you grade Jerry Jeudy so far as a Cleveland Brown? Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. I want to hear from everyone in the comment section below. While you're scrolling on down and giving me your response, a quick sneak peek as was to come on today's episode. We're going to talk about what an NFL insider, Albert Breer, had to say about Deshaun Watson and the Browns quarterback room in the future, along with some insight on some injury guys like Jed Wills and JOK. So a lot more to come on today's episode, but I do want to give a big shout out to one of my favorite sponsors, and that is Ollie. Clean, fresh nutrition for your dog in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. You don't have to be a vet to know that feeding your dog real whole foods with minimal processing is one of the best choices you can make for their health. A perfectly proportioned whole fresh food diet has been proven to extend your pup's life by 2.5 years. Who doesn't want more time with their best friend? Right now, Ollie's biggest sale of the year is here. For a limited time, you can get 70% off your first box plus a free bowl and a storage container with 5 protein first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries. You might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. So take it not just for me, but for my own dog right here. Cruz, who has a very sensitive stomach, we could never change her kibble. Then we slowly started incorporating Ollie into her diet. And now I'm not joking when I tell you, I have never seen her paw at me more when the 5 p.m. dinner bell rings to get her Ollie, and it goes down immediately. So, Ollie's biggest sale of the year is here, and for a limited time, you can get 70% off your first box plus a free bowl and storage container. Head to ollie.com, fill in your dog's details, and use code CHATSPORTS to get the lowest price of the year on a personalized meal plan. This offer ends December 6th, so act now. Head to ollie.com and enter code CHATSPORTS to get 70% off your first box. So some injury updates here. Jed Wills is still working through a knee injury. Unsure if he'll be ready to go by Monday as the Browns practice today. Cleveland plays on Monday Night Football in Denver against the Broncos. So keep an eye on this, but I don't know why I think Jermaine Ifedi is probably going to be the starter when Monday night rolls around. Cedric Tillman is dealing with a concussion he suffered in the win over the Steelers, so hopefully he won't be in concussion protocol too long, but definitely a bummer for a guy who's been playing some really good ball as of late. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, no update on him regarding his neck injury. He's eligible to come off December 8th against the Steelers, so a little bit of time until he's even remotely possible to come off IR, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Browns just err on the side of caution given their 3-8 record. Now, an article that really caught my attention recently was from Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com, and she wrote, "The goal is to get Wills, who had his MCL repaired in December, back on the field at some point this season so the Browns can continue to evaluate him for next season. As it stands, he could return as a swing tackle with DeJuan Jones expected to start at left tackle and Jack Conklin at right." She's talking about the future there when it comes to Jones and Conklin. But evaluate Wills? When I read that, 2 things popped to my head. This is one of 2 things. One, Mary Kay just got some bad intel, right? Where someone inside the walls of Breer told her, hey, we're still evaluating Jed Wills as a long-term starter for us. So either Mary Kay gets bad intel, or there are very, very bad decision makers in Cleveland who still need more time to evaluate. Guys, Jed Wills was a first-round draft pick in 2020. It's been 5 years. He has played a lot of football for them. If you don't know what you have in a player after 5 years, you are not qualified for that job. Point blank. As a decision maker, as a roster constructor, if you have 5 years of someone working alongside you in the building and you don't know if he is good or not, and you need more time to evaluate, fired. I know that sounds dramatic, but seriously, this is honestly a very simplistic part of the job. If you're not good at evaluating college quarterbacks, get in line. Most people aren't. But if you don't know after 5 years if that guy's good at his job, at any profession, could you imagine in your place of work, 5 years on the job, and your boss comes to you and goes like, hey, is Hal in accounting any good? You would know after 5 months if he's any good, let alone 5 years. So I am not in the business or in the camp of, yeah, let's trot out Jed Wills for evaluation period. No. Start Jed Wills if you think he gives the quarterback the best chance to be successful. And if he doesn't, then keep rolling with Jermaine Ifedi. But I am not starting Jed Wills for evaluation. I don't think he should return, period. I think we all know the evaluation. he is not cut out to be your future starting left tackle. If I had to predict it right now, and this is a very fluid thing, I would say this is your 2025 starting offensive line week 1 if healthy. DeJuan Jones stays at left tackle where he finished this year before his fractured ankle. Joel Bitonio or Wyatt Teller stay at guard. I think the Browns, just because of the financial side of things, are going to be forced to move off of one of those two guards, and I think they might stick with Bitonio, but honestly, you can make a good argument to have that flip-flop. Then Posick stays at center. He has one more year left on his deal, I believe. Zinter, who had a rough go when filling in for Teller at guard, I think with a couple more months on the practice field, getting better prepared for game day, could step in at right guard. And then Jack Conklin stays at right tackle because he is still under contract. So why not? Because he's playing some really good football. He just completely shut down TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers pass rush. So I like keeping Conklin there if he's healthy and he's still under contract. But no, Jed Wills should not return. And I don't even need to go into a reason of defense here. I'm not going to show you any stats. It's the eye test, the lack of effort at times, the missed assignments, him just floating in space. Is he an NFL player? Probably. Is he a starter for Cleveland anymore? No. Maybe someone else can go in and fix him. But it's not happening in Cleveland. Time to move on from a bust of a top 10 draft pick. Before we get to the last part of today's show, I just want to kind of pick your brain for a moment. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Reed hates me because I don't like the go-to ones. I don't like stuffing, and I don't like mashed potatoes. So, screw me, I know. But what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? I'm a sluffer for mac and cheese and rolls. I'll just keep reloading on those bad boys right there. Now, as for what Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated had to share on Deshaun Watson and the Browns' future at the quarterback room, here's what Breer wrote. Until now, the Browns have built a quarterback room to support Watson. This year, they'll look through the draft and or the veteran market to add competition to the room. So while the likelihood, because of the injury and the contract, is Watson will be back, the Browns are going to look to do more than just stopgap the backup spot. I know everyone wants to hear what the Browns' future at quarterback is. I'm just going to tell you guys straight up, it is wait-and-see mode. I mean, sure, I could stand here and start making a bunch of bold predictions, but it's just so incredibly difficult to do that without knowing all the information, which is, how does Jameis Winston play the rest of the year? And also, what draft pick do the Browns get? So until we know at least one of those two things, which right now we know neither one of those two things because there is still plenty of football for Jameis to either stink it up or build up his resume, and until we know what pick the Browns get, how can I even remotely accurately tell you what the Browns are going to do at quarterback? Right? What if Jameis Winston stinks it up over the next 5-6 games, but the Browns win a couple of 13-10 ball games? What if DTR comes in at some point and we know, well, it ain't Jameis anymore, but the Browns have the 8th overall pick in the draft and they can't get a quarterback? Then they may have to turn back to Deshaun Watson. But there are so many possible different outcomes here. I'm not going to try and tell you guys for sure this is what the Browns are going to do because the Browns don't even know what they're going to do, right? Jameis has played very well filling in for Watson or since taking over for Watson the last couple of weeks. But we know the Jameis experience. He was great against the Ravens. What happened the next week? Downhill. Then back up for the Saints game, up for the Steelers game. Would anyone be shocked if on Monday night on the road against a very good Broncos defense, he comes crashing down a little bit? Unfortunately, the NFL is a what can you do for me now league, and honeymoon periods are very, very short. So sure, the win on Thursday was incredible. It was awesome. And right now, everyone is gung-ho on Jameis coming back to start next year. But let's see how that holds up over the next couple of weeks if he doesn't keep playing at that high level. I'm not predicting he won't, but what I'm not going to stand here and do is say Jameis is as locked to come back next year when there's still a lot of football to be played and people's opinions might change after all those games are done. Now, as for what pick the Browns might have to draft a quarterback, as things currently stand, they have the 8th overall pick in the draft. Teams ahead of them I could see taking a quarterback. Giants, no doubter. Raiders, no doubter. Bryce Young, low-key, has played kind of well the last few weeks, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Panthers stick with him. Same goes for Will Levis and the Titans. So I've got 2.5 teams, we'll say, between Giants and Raiders being locks, and then I'll say Panthers, Titans, and why not the Jets, because it seems like Aaron Rodgers is going to be leaving after this year. Those 3 teams combined for half a team likely to take a quarterback. So there's only 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, that are worth a first-round draft pick. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. So, sure, the Browns might love one of those 2 quarterbacks, but it won't matter if they are both gone before the Browns are on the clock. So don't get sucked into the Browns have to take a quarterback in round 1. Why? So they could reach on a quarterback that should go in round 2 because everyone says they have to take a round 1 guy, but the 2 guys they like the most, Ward and Sanders, are both gone. So they reach for Dylan Gabriel, God forbid Carson Beck. I'll throw up if that happens. It's wait and see mode. I know that's not what you want to hear because you want to be told what the future is. But if the Browns don't know what the future is, how can any one of us tell you what the future is? All right, before we sign off, I do want to give some shout-outs to the Brown and Orange Club for always supporting us here at the Cleveland Browns Report. So appreciate everyone that's been tuning into our watch parties throughout the entire season. You guys always go above and beyond to make it a really fun game day for myself. So Tim Green, Mike Dibble, Jeremy Stallman, Slow But Sure. I mean, those 4 guys have been bringing the heat the last couple of weeks. David Botner, Jared Brandt, James Harper, shout out to you. Papa T. Haven't seen Joseph DePorte or Mike recently. Ray Bidding, Dr. No, Eli Green, John Porter, Scorpion, Max T. Jacob, also looking for you. Drunken Honky, appreciate you, along with Pistol and Kiki. The Belt Duo, Richard and James Belt, and Nicholas Canfield and Tyman the Buckeye. Thank you guys so much for going above and beyond, along with Miami Mac and Paul Anderson, the latest additions, for always supporting us here at the Cleveland Browns Report. Hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your Thanksgiving week. I know I can't wait to stuff my fat fucking face with bread and cheese. So, until next time, go Brownies.